Hey, all, welcome to this week's episode of the Sith Justice Warriors podcast, where we talk movies, comics, anime, gaming, and everything under the twin suns of Tatooine. So, the gang is back together, drinking Coronas,
Hey,
getting all comfy as we are stuck indoors. So everyone stay safe. So how's everyone doing?
great. We haven't seen Sirius in a while. Sirius, what have you been up to?
Trying not to go fucking crazy. I mean, there's always so many things you can do. I mean, aside from thank God for internet, first and foremost. I've been wrapping up Final Fantasy X. I've basically been doing a lot of the side quests until I get bored and want to just jump straight to the ending. Aside from that, playing Call of Duty Warzone, which is a great battle royale for those who are looking for one and haven't dove into that yet. Also, I've actually reinstalled, believe it or not, I've actually reinstalled Pokemon Go on my phone just so I'd have a reason to walk outside so I wouldn't be stuck inside all the time. I mean, I love my Xbox, but at the same time, it's like, being cooped up in the house can only entertain you for so long before you start to go crazy. How about you guys?
I've been good. We've been chatting with the peeps here in this COVID world. I've been pursuing the gaming situation on the PC, which is great. I'm still into Destiny. I'm still trying to figure out if the season pass is worth it. I'm interested to hear anyone who's listening if the season pass is worth it, because I really want to figure out the whole Rasputin thing. Other than that, I think it's really just staying sane, like you said, and just trying to get out there. You spend a lot of time indoors, and it's nice to get the fresh air and the vitamin D,
Absolutely.
the natural vitamin D.
Yeah.
Fan, how's it going?
It's been good. Besides the day-to-day, it's been taking a walk, trying to keep myself sane, as well as getting Doom Eternal in, as well as the Destiny runs that you and I have been doing, Olympia. So that, and then if I ever get a chance to get invited by somebody, I'd like to get into Warzone, but I'm just never cool.
Hey! I said you let me know when you're ready. We can go tonight. You let me know.
Where are you? Where are you?
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Oh, how whooshu.
Inside joke. Anyway, let's get on with the show. There's been a lot of news actually lately, guys, and I'm curious to get your take on a few bits and pieces of it. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Todd McFarlane. We were talking about him on one of our variant episodes before, and it's been 9 days since his Kickstarter for the Spawn figure remastered has been up, and he has managed to raise $1.5 million. It's great. He's been actually in the media, in an article on Forbes. They've kind of reached out to him basically because, as we all know, the comic industry has been really impacted by the COVID situation with Diamond, the distributors basically putting a halt to all the distribution, all of the comic book stores, the mom and pop comic book stores out there, not able to get these comics and not even able to be open because they might be considered non-essential businesses, as well as the online comic stores suffering. So it was interesting because they reached out to Todd on what his thoughts were around basically how to basically if he owned Marvel, DC, and whatever, or if he had a chance to manage those comic books, he basically said they all need to come in as a united front and be consistent in the way they approach it, and I appreciated that. So congrats to Todd. But Fan, what have you been hearing in the news that kind of piqued your interest?
I think a couple days back they announced that Sam Raimi is going to direct the Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of
Yay!
Madness.
With
We talked
Marvel?
about that rumor, and I think that's just fantastic that someone who appreciates the character is going to be directing the film, whether or not Disney gets involved with the storytelling as opposed to letting Sam Raimi use whatever source materials or whatever, you know, creative folks that are focused on the creativity and the story. That's to be seen. But hey, does that mean with a multiverse of madness? I thought there a scene in Spider-Man 1 or 2 or 3 where they actually made a reference.
Yes, it was Spider-Man 2, and Jonah Jameson was trying to think of a name for Dr. Octopus, and someone yelled out, "How about Doctor Strange?" And then he said, "No, it's been taken."
Damn.
I keep thinking about the second I heard that news. That's the first thing I thought about was that scene in Spider-Man 2.
I think it'll be an interesting fit, but I do think it'll be an interesting take because he's a different sort of director, and the previous was very like he came from that school of Nolan, and was very like a lot of the scenes. But I think Raimi will do a really good job, so I'm looking forward to it. I know we all were.
But doesn't that actually just confirm if the original actor of Jonah Jameson is in there? You've got Sam Raimi, you've got a Spider-Man. They've been chomping at the bits for what was the different universes and things like that.
Yeah.
Though we are currently in 616. They have established that the MCU right now is at 616. What do you think is going to happen with 616?
What about you? Serious?
I mean, it's going to be interesting because when you think about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you hear so many different characters being thrown around, from Wanda Maximoff to Spider-Man to even Ghost Rider. They're saying that they want to introduce a lot of characters in this movie, and I feel like, especially not just with the title Multiverse of Madness, but just with stuff that Doctor Strange can do, the places that Doctor Strange can go, I feel like it really does open the door for characters that we haven't been introduced yet to actually have a proper introduction. I think it's going to be really nice to see, where this goes and, who actually gets featured, / introduced in addition to Doctor Strange.
Speaking of,
this is your top. The next, the segue into the Ghost Rider thing should be you, Olympia. Go ahead.
Oh,
go fangirl.
Okay. I had to because Sirius sent me a really cool article that Feige is going after Keanu for the Ghost Rider role, which I thought was interesting, but I truly believe he could pull it off. And it makes sense, and everyone's been buzzing about this was the year of Keanu, and it didn't happen, sadly, because of COVID. But I will say that it's still going to be the year next year too. So I mean, with the Matrix 4 and everything, I know they stopped filming just in general, but I think it's going to be exciting. I'm excited if they can get him. I know they've been talking about it in the rumors.
If I think that would be great if Feige can land Keanu, and apparently I'm assuming that it would be Johnny Blaze. But even still, just having Keanu in the MCU, is something that we've all been wanting for like the longest time. And I think Ghost Rider is a pretty decent role for him, because I know, like I said, like he had this this monotone to him, when he was like in the Matrix, like just his character in general. And apparently, I think back when they were originally having the concept for a live action Cowboy Bebop movie, I think Keanu Reeves was originally slated to be Spike Spiegel.
Yeah, he was.
And Spike has that monotone voice to him. So, I mean, I feel like Ghost Rider would be, a nice fit.
He would have been an awesome Spike Spiegel.
He would be a great Spike Spiegel. But, flash forward now, I think he would make an even I think he would make an even better Ghost Rider. It's like I just see him, bringing his, his Keanu essence to the role.
I know kung fu.
I'm dead, but I feel so alive.
So yeah. Anyway, that was super exciting to see because if that happens, I know it's always been a rumored thing, but I'm waiting to hear about it. I mean, you saw Toy Story 4 the other day, right, Siri?
Oh yes, yeah, and also on the subject of Disney, I managed to watch Toy Story 4, and it was a very good movie, by the way. If you like Pixar, if you liked the other Toy Stories, like definitely watch this one. It's on Disney Plus. It's very well done, and Keanu plays this character, one of the toys. Apparently, he's like a Canadian stuntman named Duke Kaboom, and like just his like quick like one liners, it's just so awesome. It's just like you're so engaged in the story, and then all of a sudden you just hear Keanu's voice just pop out of nowhere. It's just like as much as I love the story, just it's just like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Because it's Keanu.
Too funny. Anyway, what else?
By the way, did you since we're talking about rumors, what about the John Krasinski rumor?
Oh,
yeah,
Mr. Fantastic.
That's a good one because I've been seeing that everywhere, and I'm a fan of it, of the rumor.
I think when we were talking a while back, about Phase 4, I remember saying that I think that John Krasinski and Emily, I'm not so sure about Emily Blunt playing Invisible Woman, but like when they were talking about like different like Hollywood couples, like about being slated to play Mr. Fantastic, and I like one of the first people that popped into mind was John Krasinski, like because he has that that presence to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you could just look at somebody and say, "Oh, he could play that part."
That's
He's a good Jack Ryan, by the way. Young Jack Ryan, I really like him in that.
No, I'm. You know what? And honestly, it's not far fetched to have him and his wife Emily Blunt play the two. She would actually be a really good Sue Storm. She does have roles where she has blonde hair. It's not unheard of. Like I actually think it would be really cool. So, but anyway, I think that rumor. I mean, I haven't watched the Jack Ryan series. It's something. It's on my list.
I definitely want to check that out too. Yeah,
but like
first season was great. Second season was I think it was better than okay, but first season was great.
Okay, and like I always think of him as the guy from The Office, but like I heard he's really good in that, and it's action packed. So, like I'm interested. It's on my list. But I think he'd be a great Reed Richards.
And Blunt would make a good Sue Storm. I mean, she was Mary Poppins.
No, I really think she would.
So she is part of the Disney community.
Yeah, like I just don't know where they're going with it because that is, I mean, we talked about Disney before. That is leaning towards the older age group for them. Although with the Fantastic Four, the original that they launched, they leaned more towards the younger. So I don't know where they're going to lean because they made some choices to lean in on actors that were of a certain age demographic for some of them.
Yes, because I mean, even if you do end up casting Krasinski and Blunt, that leaves with 3 key roles left. Like who would you get? Like if it was a given that Krasinski and Blunt had the roles of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, who would you get to play Torch, Thing, and of course one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time, Doctor Doom?
Yeah, I don't know. This is something you just really have to think about, like, because I don't. Ben Grimm. So I mean, for the most part, he's going to spend a lot of his time in a CGI sort of costume,
but for somehow like Marvel just finds a way to make it work. Like if you go back pre-Guardians of the Galaxy, you just think to yourself, what would you think if you saw a movie with Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel doing a voice, and then Bradley Cooper? It's like you weren't really then throwing John C. Reilly, Peter Serafinowicz. It's like you can't really get a sense of what the movie would be just based off the cast. But like for some reason, watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and you see all of it just works. Marvel, at least Kevin Feige, just has this magic of creating things and just making it work. And that's why I'm really hoping that he lands Keanu as Johnny Blaze, because I feel like he could really do some good by that part, and actually give him like a nice role, not just in the movie but throughout the future of the MCU.
Yeah. No, I think that's an awesome. I've been hearing that rumor, and I feel like there's some fan-made, like sort of like fan-made like posters or whatever of like what it would look like to have.
I've seen a couple. It's pretty
like as
pretty cool.
As Reed and Sue. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It all depends where they go, like the route that they go, because like with X-Men, like they totally rebooted them, and I was happy with the X-Men that they had. So I liked First Class.
First Class was brilliant.
Me,
it was brilliant.
X-Men like were always like Halle Berry and James Marsden and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Yeah,
like that was
Days of Future Past.
That was the X-Men me.
And I will say, like, aside from Quicksilver, and you have Quicksilver, Psylocke, Magneto, like I actually think X-Men Apocalypse was my least favorite. It actually was not Dark Phoenix, and I say that because of one particular scene in Dark Phoenix.
What?
When they were on the train and Magneto just went ape shit.
Well, yeah.
He fucking lost it. And like that was the grittiness that like I miss, and like that's the Magneto I know.
Did you see that yet, fan? Did you see that movie yet?
Which one? Again, I'm sorry.
Dark Phoenix.
I didn't get to yet.
Oh, you should. Like it made me appreciate.
Man.
It really made me appreciate the power of Magneto, because they never really showed you what he could do, like in a situation like when they were on the train.
Spoilers, by the way.
I'd love to get your thoughts on it, because usually you see Magneto lifting up objects, hovering, like crushing people from afar with his with a metal pipe or something.
Even Days of Future Past, it felt like he was kind of like.
But this really showed him like in action, and I thought it was great.
He had grit. It was he just completely went batshit crazy, and like that's the Magneto that I know, and that's the Magneto I was waiting to see, for a while.
Yeah. Truly.
Great. So, I think I have one last question, and it's really for Olympia. What are your thoughts on Dune? The screenshots, the casting. You've read 2 books. And I often kind of go to you to just see how you...
Dune. Oh, I forgot about this. It was something we talked about a while back, and I reread the book to prepare for the movie, which is coming out December 18th. Denis Villeneuve, or whatever. I can't pronounce his name properly, I'm sure. And this star-studded cast, like, it's insane. It's like Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, the chick from Killing Eve, Ferguson, I think. What is her name? And then Oscar Isaac. Like, it's going to be like lit. However, I mean, I have been seeing the pictures. They're not much actually, because I feel like they don't want to give away the movie. What I did read recently in an article was that I read, and this is what I have to confirm, I heard that they're going to split up the movie. Is that what you read, fan? Are they splitting up the movie? Have you read anything about that?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't catch that. But if they did, it wouldn't be surprised. There's
it is. Oh, it's going to be split into 2 movies.
You know what though? If they want to take the time and
No,
do
I
the
mean,
storytelling right,
I'm
you
cool
have
with
to.
that. I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. I mean, on Screen Rant, here it is. It's on Screen Rant. Dennis Villeneuve explains why. And to be honest with you, I don't mind that. I forgot Dave Bautista's in it too. Like I don't mind it, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of complexities. I mean, the book was like what, more than 300 pages. Like
Wait, is
it,
Jason Momoa in this? Because I'm just
yeah, he
reading it.
is. He's in it. And like I said, like this thing is like, I think Stellan Skarsgård's in it. So like this is
Dang, so
like
died. I mean,
this is
jeez.
like legit, like casting. Like I when I saw that cast, I was like shocked that they got that many people in this movie, because usually like you get like one or two, and then like the rest are like, B or whatever, or somewhat unknown. I will say they casted Timothy Chalamet. I can't pronounce his name probably properly, but um he I don't know him from a lot of things, but I know he has a pretty big following. I was hesitant about them casting someone so young as Leto. He's the son of the Duke, who basically, this isn't giving a lot away, especially if you've read the book, but like basically they move from a different planet to a desert planet, and this is where, like, if you've ever seen that South Park episode, the spice melange, this is the spice. It's the spice, and that is what this movie is about. Anyway, what I will say is, historically, like when you think about Dune, like it was written by Frank Herbert, and he actually got the idea from, I think, some sort of biological stuff that was going on around him, or things that like just basically that's where he got his idea. He had like no idea about like anything about planets or anything. He just thought about this whole situation where, desert planets, and like what life would be like, that kind of thing, just from, I think, from like a looking at like a greenhouse or something, like. And so it's just amazing, the book and the series that he's put together since then. Like I said, it's a very complex world. There are different um, peoples, if you will. I don't want to say castes, because they're not castes, but they're like indigenous. There are people indigenous to the planet. There are people who come from other planets. There's space and the colonies and the management of that colonies. There's also some sort of business aspect to the book, because the spice is managed by like a conglomerate, like a sort of board, if you will, of multiple leaders, because they've got to manage this spice, because it's everything to the people. Like it's a hallucinogenic. It gives you powers. It gives you sight. It gives you like whatever. Anyway, like, so there's that, and then there's the whole like political agendas in between, um, because this movement to this planet was all orchestrated by the antagonists, to that family, the Baron Harkonnen. So, like I said, it's very complex. I appreciate that he is splitting it up into two films. I don't think he needs to split it up into three. Two is enough, because there's enough source material from the books thereafter, and the books that Frank Herbert's son wrote as prequels. So there's enough, as long as you kind of, I feel like, as long as they are true to the story of it. I didn't realize there was gender bending in this retelling. I'm not offended by it. I'm just curious. The reason, and I hate to say it this way, I'm not offended. The person who is switched, like in my opinion, is important to an extent, and then later on, like the importance kind of goes away. So it's like an afterthought. So it's not like a central character in my mind that they decided to switch. So in a weird way, they took it safe. Um, they did something a little safe. what was interesting to me, fan, is that you're saying there are definitely some political undertones in this kind of retelling of the film, but I'm not concerned about that. To me, as long as he sticks to the core essence of the film. I forgot Zendaya's in it too. So like I said, like as long as they stick to it, as long as I think the visuals come through, this is a desert planet where worms like are always around, and like there's no water. Like it makes you appreciate water reading this book, because they have to wear these suits, and the suits literally take your waste and recycle it so you could drink it, which is gross when you think about it, but it's the only way to live. So like I said, in this COVID world, it's actually a fitting movie. So I really hope come December we can all go watch it. Anyway,
Great. So I think that wraps it up. I think it was great to catch up because I think we've all had different schedules that
I
prevented
know
us from
Serious
connecting.
back.
we playing Warzone tonight, fan?
I think we will after this.
But yeah, I do want to hear from people. Like, definitely let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Destiny's season pass. I want to know. And I want to know any other games on the PC you can recommend, if anyone out there has any for me. I would really like to try them on Steam. Anyway, fan.
All right, great. So with that, we're gonna sign off and hope that some more interesting news pops up to keep us sane from all this boredom of being kept indoors. So talk to you later, everyone. Have a good night. Stay safe out there.
Bye, guys.